Good afternoon, Beeville. This is Cindy Clark from PAC-B TV, and I am here this morning with Bill and Paul from the 7 Acres Alpaca Farm. And good morning, gentlemen. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy days to let us know what's going on here. We're going to go through the history of Alpaca Farm and how you gentlemen got involved in this, why you got involved with this, I'm presuming after you retired.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Well, I'm going to let them take over and tell us all how they got started, why they got started, why they're here in this area, and who does what. Okay?
That why question, Cindy, is one that we get asked all the time, and both of us have gotten so we just look back and say, why not?
Perfect.
We've been together 39 years now, and I would say probably that over those 39 years we've done a lot of things that, things that we've really wanted to do.
Bucket list.
One of those is a passion about animals and loving animals. We were, I guess would be considered snowbirds back in 2015. We were enjoying 7 months in Florida, and then we had a little place on the river in Fulton. And we decided we were going to come back to Central New York full time. And the summer of 2015, we happened to be in Sharon Springs, and they had a craft fair there. And we came across these two beautiful alpacas, which neither of us were familiar with. So on the way home, I said to Bill, offhandedly, kind of, is that something you would like to do? And
now, why would you, out of the clear blue, I mean, would you like to deal with alpacas? It must have clicked or something, right?
Well, I think for me, it was something that I know he has loved animals, and he'd been very supportive of my ventures. I own 2 very successful educational consulting companies, and there was a lot of travel and a lot of stuff going on, and he was very supportive of me, and I thought, well, it's his turn. So we started to do some research, mainly Bill, and came across these 2 wonderful people, Jody and Chris Hatch, who at that time had Salmon River Alpaca Farm up in Mexico. And he made the contact, and we started talking to Jody, and I guess one thing led to another, and that next year we found the farm, and it was an instant like. We came out to an open house on a Sunday and looked at each other and said, this is it.
It's a beautiful place.
It wasn't a like. I just fell in love with the place.
I can see why. I mean, was it like it is now? I mean...
No, we've done a lot. It was originally the owners had horses.
Okay.
So they had, the entire property was fenced in with electric fencing, and so when we came in, we de-electrified it and started putting up the cattle panels for the pastures and that. And then...
the one caveat was Paul wasn't going to live on Dingle Hole Road.
Oh. Here's the story. We were sitting in our house in Fulton, okay, and we had tried to purchase a property in Sterling, New York, and that kind of fell through. He was going through the Sunday paper, and he said, oh, there's an open house, 8 acres, barn, and this afternoon. And I said, oh, so tell me more about it. He said, well, it's on Dingle Hole Road. And I looked at him and I said, there's no way I'm moving to Dingle Hole Road. Well, anyway, we came out, and he stood over by the garage, and I went in the house immediately, and we converged in the middle and looked at each other and said, this is it. You just, when you know something?
Yep.
So we purchased 5 beautiful female alpacas and moved in.
Wow.
And here we are.
Wow, and here you are. Here you are. So
we knew nothing about farming.
I was going to ask you that if anybody had any kind of experience. Now, you said, we talked earlier, and you said you had a lot of experience with landscaping.
Well, my mom was obviously a big fan of flowers and gardening, and all of my siblings and I obviously picked up a lot of things from her. So That's been my primary, responsibility, because his love and his passion and his skill is the animals, and I have to give him a lot of credit. As he said, we knew nothing about, raising,
On the job training, huh?
animals.
That's what you're
especially
talking about, right
alpacas.
on the spot.
Jumped into the
You
deep
jumped
end of the
right
pool.
into it. Jumped right into it. Well, we're gonna get a kind of a tour as the time goes on here of all the beautiful landscaping he's got. It's stunning. So, in addition to things being comfortable for you, that you look at your grounds, because I love flowers too, and I understand the peace and the love that you feel with the flowers and what it gives you, because they give so much back, and that's all blended into the animals that you love. It's kind of it's a one big beautiful picture as I'm seeing, and like I said, we'll show the viewers the grounds, the beautiful grounds, and how peaceful it is, and probably that has a lot to do with why the animals are so peaceful.
I think so.
Because I think they sense that.
They do. They're very special animals, and Bill will certainly share with you, a lot of background information about alpacas. And one of our goals really here is to introduce the public to the alpacas, and I'd say the magic of alpacas. We look at each other 6 out of 7 nights of the week and say, what would we be doing if we weren't here?
Right.
So when folks, we have a couple of buddies from Florida that keep looking at us, and
Probably shaking their heads,
yeah,
right?
exactly, but all of the relatives just say, well, that's Paul and Bill.
Oh, it's wonderful. It is. I love it. So there's been no looking back, no regrets.
None.
None. Oh, that's
No.
great. That's great.
None.
And what do you envision for the future? Anything different here? Or?
There's a couple of days in January or February where I say, it'd be nice to be back in Florida.
Just a couple of days?
Just a couple of
Yeah,
days.
just a couple of days, I know. Because these winters here can be pretty brutal.
Well, if you're born and raised here, you know what you're dealing
Yeah.
with,
True. True enough.
Florida was lovely. We enjoyed it, but I would say we both, as he said, except for a few days, enjoy the changes of the season. This, I think, is our favorite time, because everything is so green and so fresh.
It's all coming, it's like a rebirth. After the
Exactly.
long winter,
Yeah.
you're getting a rebirth. All the flowers, your perennials are popping, and people are out at the local landscaping places, the gardening places, getting their flowers. But you've got a lot of perennials here.
It's beautiful in the fall because of all the maple trees.
Right,
It's
all around you.
such color.
I mean, it's beautiful.
What's interesting too is that over the 8 years now that we've been here, there's been an increased interest in alpaca. For example, when you greeted me this morning, you said, I just love alpacas. I'm so excited about being here. So it's been nice to see folks, interested in finding out more about the animal. I say they're spiritual. They're really gentle. They're not like llamas.
I know. I was going to ask you about the difference.
Well,
What is the difference?
Tell
Tell us
about
the difference.
Basically, the difference between an alpaca and a llama is about 200 pounds.
And spit.
Well, they both spit, but I'm not really familiar with llamas, but they are cousins. So they basically have the same behavior, they all have very different personalities. They're just a lot bigger.
I just love them. I just love them. We're going to go and look at the alpacas here shortly. But all right, so kind of give us your schedule, the morning schedule. We'll get into that a little bit, and then we'll go, because I'm dying to meet them. But how's your day start?
Good question. He starts the day. He's usually up.
Starts with making the coffee, walking Missy, waiting for Paul to get up, planning the day, starting out in the barn. That takes couple of hours. I start, Paul walks Missy again and comes and helps me in the barn. And then
Now, what do you have to do in the barn? What do they eat? Grain, hay?
they eat feed, a little bit of feed, and they eat hay. Just cleaning up the barn, cleaning up after them, which is really fairly easily, because for livestock, it's really pretty amazing. They use a litter box.
No.
So it's not like a goat or a cow that is indiscriminate.
Right.
They all line up like a line of flames or they all take their turn. And basically that's it until evening for the animals, other than taking care of the pasture or mowing or herd health, which is the only time that they are not gentle, quiet animals. But
He has a monthly regimen where they get an injection, and it's to prevent parasites, right?
parasite.
Yeah, that's the major health issue with them. And it is a routine, as he said. That early morning time is really special. Special, obviously, for the animals, but with Missy, and she that's her job. Her job is to be with us in the barn, and he's amazing because as impossible as it may seem, he has the animals trained now so that they know where to go inside the barn for their feed and their hay. So, and very often it's just a hand signal, and that's the routine. They're used to it, every morning. So
They're very intelligent. They're almost like Missy, where they can work me. They know.
Don't they always with the pets
If
we
there
love?
is a gate not quite latched, they know that it's ajar. They're easily trained. In Florida, before I had anything else to do, I was certified as a dog trainer, so I'm using some of that training with the animals, and I do use a lot of hand signals, and the biggest thing to learn about the animals is to move slowly, and if you have the least amount of anxiety or tension in your body, that you might as well just leave the barn and settle yourself and then go back, because
They sense it.
absolutely.
Yeah, they sense it. Well, a lot of animals do that. They sense your emotions.
I think that's an
Yeah.
important quality of alpaca, especially as we were talking earlier. They do sense an energy rather than that. He mentioned personalities. We're going to introduce you to some of those personalities.
Wonderful.
One of whom is Rosie.
Okay.
And Rosie's we call her our meter and greeter. Bill tells everybody she has absolutely no concept of someone's personal space. She just loves to nuzzle up. So be prepared, okay?
That's fine.
And then there are others that are a little standoffish and shy, but he's right. They all have very distinct personalities in that. I just want to emphasize that he has done such a wonderful job of researching and learning about the animals. For example, when we first started, if we bred an animal, it was just, that's a pretty alpaca, we'll breed them together. Now it's become very sophisticated, and he looks at the genetics and what is their fleece like, what is their body structure like, so that at least there's an attempt, or the goal is to have a quality animal, because we do show them, and we do have their fleece. Okay, we send our fleece generally to it's not a co-op, Bill, what is that?
It's a mill.
A mill. And
And then
then
they
fiber
make-
mill.
Now, what do they make? What do they make? Socks or scarves or and sweaters? They do it.
It socks, sweaters, hats, gloves, dryer balls,
That's the biggie
boot
now.
inserts.
Yeah, I know.
They blankets. They make all kinds of different things. It is the fiber from the basically from the northeast, alpacas. Typically, the alpaca fleece is blended in the processing with a wool or a plant fiber or that sort of thing. That helps give the yarn structure or a garment structure.
I know I've got some alpaca socks, and I got to tell you, they are so warm and fuzzy and soft.
It's very nice.
I mean,
it's wonderful.
it's
Yeah,
beautiful
it is.
material. It is very
we,
good.
We just joined, I guess, last year the Baldwin's Spinners group. Is what Golden Harvest Spinners.
Is that Rosie?
Is Rosie coming out?
Hi, Rosie.
That's Rosie.
That's Rosie. She's our greeter. Okay, we'll be there, Miss Nosy. We'll be right over. Look at her. It's like she knows what I'm saying. She probably does, too.
Well, she has this interesting.
What?
Yeah.
She's showing off. How many do you have? How many alpacas do you have now?
Right now, there's 19.
Oh, my God.
By October, mid-October, there should be 24.
We have 5
The
pregnant
babies.
females.
Oh,
Yeah.
my heavens.
Yeah, you
Oh,
have to
that's
come back and see
exciting.
the.
Yes.
They call the babies cria.
Kriya?
They're cria.
Kriya.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, we ignored her. Now look,
Well,
she's going to ignore us.
She'll be back out.
We had 5 once before, a couple of years ago, and I said, because they're pregnant for almost a year, and for that whole year I kept saying, I will never do this again, I will never do this again, I will never do that again.
And here we are.
When all 5 of those babies were out running in the pasture playing on there, I would do it again in a New York minute.
There you go.
So I did it again.
Well, here you are.
The qualifications of the criteria were a lot different this year than they were 5 years ago. But the qualities of the alpacas have gotten better, and part of that started from there. So it's been fun. I'm also concentrating on making a finer or a nicer, softer fleece as well as color. Recently, there's been a lot of studies with doing genetic testing for color. I like to say that I'm a black breeder, black or gray breeder. However, when you're breeding for black and gray, you get all the colors that you'll see here.
Okay.
Black is a recessive gene that I'm trying to pair it with bringing some of the finer qualities or the lighter colors into the darker colors.
Oh, okay.
That's a big push at the moment. So it's been really, I don't know how or why I can understand that pretty quickly. Some of the stuff about the animals it's
Karma.
There you go. There's that word again.
just the interest, I guess, and learning. And I have some awesome mentors, some of the best, very, very best in the business. The alpaca business is a pretty big business across the country.
Well, I've checked into it. I did a little research into it myself, and I was absolutely amazed at the interest.
Yes.
It's
Really, it's
worldwide.
amazing.
Actually,
Yeah.
Howie out here, my blue-eyed white boy, his father won multi banners, and he now resides in Switzerland or Sweden, one of the
I
other.
think it's Switzerland. Yeah.
That it is a worldwide.
When did they first come to the U.S.? I forgot.
I don't know, probably about 40 years ago or better.
So it's a
They're-
relatively
It's
new
new
animal.
because
too.
I know I haven't heard about it.
Yeah.
Between the llamas and the alpacas, of course, I never knew the difference. But then I found out that the alpacas really are cute. They
Well, there's
really are.
how many? It's the camelid family, right?
There's camels, there's llamas, alpacas, and then there's guanaco, and what's the other one?
You'll think of it. I know you will. You will, and you can just let us know when you think about it, okay? Now okay, so I'm thinking maybe we should take a look.
Really? You don't want to just sit here?
Well, we can come back,
oh, okay.
but I kind of like to see them. Now, the youngest ones you have here, how old are they?
Right now they're 11 months old.
Oh, good, so we'll have some babies. We'll see some babies.
Yeah.
Good. Well, why don't we just, I know I'm very comfortable here.
The first round of babies is due, the due date is actually June 20, but that's just a suggestion. It could happen like people.
Now you have, obviously you have vets that come over and you attend to them when you need that. I didn't realize there were that many vets that handle the large animals. There aren't.
There are.
Okay.
Well, large animal vets are few and far between, and it's becoming less and less. Mostly because the large dairy farms are shrinking.
Yes, they are.
My vet is actually in Watertown. I connected with her through our original mentors who were in
Mexico.
Which is a lot closer to Watertown. And at that point, they were trying to expand their practice, and she did take me on as a client.
She's
if I were to
wonderful.
start it now,
Yeah.
she wouldn't be here. But she is outstanding. She's done alpacas herself.
Well, that's good.
And
That's
she
good.
did study in vet school with a very well-known alpaca camelid vet. And she knows me. She knows she knows how to work me.
Just like the alpacas do, huh?
I'm a worrier. I have a healthy respect for medicine. I don't want to do any harm. I don't know a lot about it. So she tells me, okay, you need to do this, 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 and this. And if that doesn't work, then we try something else. But,
Very often now he's at a point where they'll talk or text or FaceTime, and if it's a real serious problem that he can't handle, she'll come to the farm, right? And there have been occasions where he's taken an animal to Watertown, so while it seems like a long distance, we're very lucky. Dr. Becky's just fantastic.
Oh, that's nice to
Yeah.
It is hard. I know I had horses many years ago. I lived in Cicero at the time, and we had to get one from Casanova. And he was wonderful. But still, it's people, well, how come you have to go so far? Well, my horse doesn't fit in my trunk. Otherwise I would.
what's nice about the alpacas is that they will go in the back of my Explorer.
Wow. You're lucky there.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have, at the time, didn't have a trailer. So they had to come to us. We did get a trailer, but that's always the thought. It's the vets, and when something's happening, you want it quickly.
Yep, exactly.
And you learn, like you've learned, I learned too, because then you save yourself a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of anxiety, because you learn to recognize. With any animal, with your dog, cat, bird, whatever, you learn, you pay attention,
Right.
you do your research, so you can handle things yourself, because you don't want your animal to be in distress.
And he knows his animals,
Yes.
and that's the key. He
That
can tell.
is, that's right.
He'll say to me, something's wrong with,
Yep.
and 9 times out of 10, he's
You're right.
absolutely
Oh,
correct.
I believe it. I believe it, because you do know them. You get a sense. You communicate with them.
Absolutely.
That's what I mean. I don't know any other way to describe it.
They all have
You're at one with
routines.
your animal.
They all have
Yeah.
routines, just like people, and their likes and dislikes,
Right.
and
You have to pay attention.
Well, come
It's
on, let's
easy
go
enough.
meet
Well,
the
let's go
animals.
look at them all. We're gonna go check them all out, and hopefully Rosie will come out and say hello again.
Well, now that's Noah. Hello, Noah.
Hi, Noah.
Noah's nosy. Want to go? Oh,
go
sorry
on
about
in
that.
so we can get all the way in and close the
Hi
gate.
there. They're going. All right. What can we eat?
That's
Hello.
the first rule of
Hello, Noah.
on a farm. You open a gate.
How are you? Oh,
You gotta move real slow
okay.
and don't touch their heads.
Okay.
They don't like that, but you
All
can
right.
rub
It'll
it
be
next to
unlikely
them.
that you'll be able to touch one, but we'll give it a try.
Well, whatever.
Come on.
Well, who are these strange people? I mean, particularly you.
They do love the
The
zoo.
dark boy here is Winston.
Winston.
He's very standoffish. He always has the look on his face like, I am not amused. And the light boy is Noah.
Noah.
They're actually only 2 weeks apart in age.
Now,
Winston was actually 365 days on the dot. He was 1 year gestation, and Noah was just 2 weeks earlier.
now, Winston has how many ribbons already?
Winston has 2 first place ribbons and 1 fourth place. They both have ribbons. The big boys back here, these guys are 6 years old already, 5 years old, and this is Maximilian, and Howie. They are both the same age. They were born the same year. They are kept separate at the moment. Well, actually, because they can't seem to figure out who's boss, so they fight a lot.
Okay.
So they feel they're in the same pasture together, but they're separated. Boys will fight like teenage boys do.
Now, how do they fight? What do they do?
Oh, they'll bump chests. They will chase each other. They will bite at each other's necks and legs, and
So they can get pretty rowdy.
they can get pretty rowdy. But what's really obnoxious about it when they get rowdy is they run around screaming like little girls. And
Is
it's
that a
really
sexist
kind of
comment? Should we edit that?
It's true. It's obnoxious for neighbors and obnoxious for me. I don't like it, but it doesn't really last very long. When they do fight, they get tired. But that's the way that is for me anyway.
Now, it looks like they were just, what's the word, shorn?
Right. They were just shorn 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Now, do you do that?
I do not. I don't do that because I'm too old and the ground's too far away. They're shorn on the ground. Our shearer is actually Chris Hatch, our original mentor. He and his sons come, and once a year, it's right around Mother's Day, boy, we're getting pelted with helicopters.
Yeah, helicopter.
He comes with a big wrestling mat, and they are stretched out on the ground on the mat with a block and tackle. They are stretched. They are not harmed in any way. They holler, they scream.
Well, not all of them.
But it takes about 10 minutes, and within 10 minutes they're back up. They shake off and say, oh my gosh, I'm glad all that fleece is off of me. He is very gentle with them. They have to be stretched out like that to protect the shearers and the animals, because those shears are super, super sharp. So
This guy over here, Cindy, is he's considered a blue-eyed white male. If I get this wrong, correct me. Genetically, he was bred to be a gray, so genetically he's gray.
Okay.
All right, but because of a genetic mix-up, right?
it's kind of what one of the parents had what they call a white spot. Now that white spot, sometimes you can see it and sometimes you can't. It created, he is, from what I understand, he's considered like a merle cat or dog with the 2 different colored eyes. But often those animals are deaf. And Howie is deaf.
Okay.
But he knows more about what's going around in the pasture than Max does. Max is kind of like he's just a goofy guy. He's,
Like them.
they really are sweet boys. They're actually easier to deal with than some of the girls.
And he's got the most beautiful fleece. on him.
Beautiful.
But you can't
He's
breed
beautiful.
them.
Because of
Because of the genetic
the
thing,
food
right.
defect
You
or
can't
whatever
breed
you call
them
it.
as just what would you call it?
Well, if you can't breed them because it would pass it along. Is that correct?
It may or may
Potentially?
not.
Okay.
It is, I can't think of the word, but
It'll come to you.
Senior
Would-
moment.
I mean, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when people were purchasing mediocre animals, they were spending a lot of money. I mean, upwards of, $10, $15, $20,000 for an animal. If you're spending that much money, you want it to be as perfect,
Yes.
near perfect
As possible. Right.
And death is not perfect.
Right.
So I think he's perfect just the way he is. I love him to death. Some of these boys will need to move on to other pastures, either as pets. Hopefully Max will be a breeder. That I need to make more room for more boys.
Yeah.
My first 7 babies were all females. And then I designed a nice barn for the back, and half of it was supposed to be for hay. Mother Nature said, I've got another thought for that, and then my next 7 babies were boys.
When we bought the farm, this was the major barn area, and then the darker red roof. And that first year, he said, we're going to need more room. So we had a fella come and he put what we call the porches on. There's one on the north side and one on the south side.
Okay.
And then, what was it, 3 years ago or 4 years ago? 4 years ago, he said, we're going to need more room.
Always.
So you'll see and this was wonderful. An Amish man that we got connected up with came, and he and his son put that barn up, what, in a day and a half?
I think it was a day and a half.
Day and a half. I mean, it was amazing to watch. He started early in the morning, and they finished nonstop that evening. And I think they came back.
There's a loose gate.
Okay, go ahead. And they came back and the next day and finished up some of the trim things. It was amazing to watch. And that is probably one of the best built buildings you'll ever find, okay? So,
Now you're still going to need more room, though, probably, right?
well, I think, no. It's interesting that what we've done, we've really focused in the last 8 years to what is it that we want to do, okay? And one of the things that we want to do is to enjoy what we're doing.
Right.
And that has to do with the number of animals you have, obviously. So we have been able to reduce the herd size. We had as many as 30, I think 32 at one point.
Oof.
And it demands a lot of time and money and energy. So we have a wonderful mentor that we work with, Jody Hatch. She was our original lady that we went to that we purchased. She now does just mentoring. And we meet with her once a month. And we talk about goals, etc., both in terms of, financial goals and just personal time goals. And she has been wonderful to help us realize a plan that includes our time, our interest, and our free time.
Which you have to have.
You
Regardless
do.
of how much you love the animals, you have to have your
You
own
have to have
space.
some personal
Yes, you do.
space.
Yes,
Absolutely.
You do. Yes, you
And
do.
it has been so different. Coupled with the fact that, and again, I give him credit, now when we decide to breed animals, for example, these 5 are probably the best prepared, okay, that you can be, because it's a crapshoot, actually,
Yeah.
all right? But there's a particular goal, and contrary to when we started, when we just thought, oh, that's a pretty animal, let's put it with this animal. Now there's a purpose involved. And we've also, in fact, we just spent 4 wonderful days in Washington, D.C. with friends. We got away. Last fall we went to Maine.
Now, who takes care of the place when you're not? You've
Lisa
mentioned
and
these
Ed.
neighbors.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, isn't it wonderful to have neighbors like that? It's
Well,
a great community anyway.
He's a wonderful guy. We've become great friends, and she is. She calls herself the godmother.
Of all the animals.
And she knows them, you know, and he trusts her impeccably, and I think she feels somewhat really a part of this whole process. So, yeah, we're lucky.
Yeah.
Ed and Lisa Hetko.
Ed and
Nice.
Lisa.
Again, there's your karma.
Who would have thought?
That's perfect.
Right?
That's perfect.
Who
It's
would've
great.
thought? Now,
how
if we
about-
found you.
Well, that's right. I don't know. I think we found each other. Now, they're not going to come and talk to me here.
No, they're not.
They're babies. They're ignoring me completely, which, okay. Now, why don't we move on? You tell us the next step we're going to go to.
We're going to see the girls.
Okay, good. We'll see the girls.
See the girls
Let's
and
get back out this way.
Okay.
Or we can look in the barn, but the box is
All right. Okay. Litter box.
Well, it's an area
Yeah,
where they put
yeah.
yeah. Which makes it cleanup a lot easier, obviously. Be careful of the step here, Ryan.
Aw, what a good dad you are. I love it.
Now you have to separate the boys and the girls.
Yeah. I'm following you.
Okay, we'll start off that
Okay.
way. I just got to go behind Brian here. Brian or Brian?
Brian.
Okay, I don't want to push anything I'm not supposed to push. This is where they do their deal. I love it. They do. They actually go. When the time comes,
Wherever
everybody in the
that
one
spot is.
spot. It's like you said earlier.
Right.
With other animals, they're totally indiscriminate. This is nice, much easier for upkeep.
Well, it's fortunately or unfortunate, when we get company, they always hit the litter box.
Well, I think people get nervous. It's just like people get nervous.
Kind of like
and
showing off, like how clean we are.
Yes, they're wonderful.
So everybody is out. They haven't been out all day. You know? They'll come see us. We'll Rosie will anyway.
Now Rosie's over there. Which one's Rosie?
Oh, you'll know in a minute.
That's the one that popped your head up?
No, that one's down.
Here they come.
Okay. What do they think they're gonna eat?
Yeah. Partly.
Hi there.
Girls, yeah, we got visitors. Here
Hi
comes
there.
Rosie.
There she is.
Give her
Hello.
kisses. Give her kisses. Yeah. She will get in your face, and
That's
you're
fine.
allowed to kind of push her away.
Oh, I don't want to make her nervous. I want to
Here
pet her.
we go.
Is she gonna let me pet her?
Eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
I'll let her come
Hi,
to me.
Rosie. Yeah, let her come back.
Rosie. Rosie. She is nosy. Nosy Rosie.
I mentioned to you before, Maddie.
Yep.
This is Maddie, okay?
They do know their names, right? Pretty much.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Maddie.
Maddie, she manages our store.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we'll show you that a little bit later. And she also writes a blog, and she writes on Facebook, and she tells tall tales about Billy and the other one. I'm the other one.
Billy.
There's Billy
The other
and
one.
the other one.
You're the other
And
one.
The other one gets into all kinds of trouble all the time, according to Maddie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, like the day that I ran over the garden hose with the lawnmower. So Maddie had to write about that one,
Of course.
you know.
Of course.
Let's see, I'm trying to think what else. Oh, she was, let's see, Bella had some stomach problems, okay? So Billy was giving medication, okay? But Maddie was convinced it was poison. Okay. And the beat goes on.
It does. That's great, though. That's great.
So
So
This
you
is
can meet some of the
amazing.
other girls.
Sure.
That's Rosie and Maddie. And this girl here is Chicago Blues. Chicago Blues is pregnant, and her baby is due the beginning of August. Hopefully she will definitely have a black baby. This girl here is Cover Girl. She's also pregnant, but her baby is due the middle of October. And then we have Midnight Blue. She is very pregnant also. She is due the 20th of June, so another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and she should have a baby on the ground. And actually, Blue is Chicago Blue's mother.
Oh, okay. Now, where do they give birth? Here or wherever? Okay. Well, I didn't know if maybe you knew things were going to happen and they go, you want to bring them inside or?
I can get a pretty good sense of when physical indicators as well as behavioral. I've had probably 20 babies here on the farm, and I've witnessed all of them but 2 be born. It's just awesome. They basically take care of it all themselves.
They're all good mamas?
All of them are good moms. The only equipment that you really need for birthing alpaca babies is a lawn chair, a long piece of rope, and a pair of binoculars. The rope is to tie yourself in the chair and use the binoculars.
Leave him alone.
I know. Makes sense to me.
He's great with the bird. For whatever reason, I overthink things. So I tend to run to the house.
So I would too if I were you.
Okay.
He doesn't run to the house. He'll stand there and go, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And I'll say, it's time to go to the house.
Yeah, now it's time to go to the house now.
It's interesting to watch though, because the experienced mamas, as he said, it's kind of like, oh, all right. And 9 times out of 10, luckily, it's an easy kind of birth. There's a couple times when he had to assess.
Help, okay.
But the new mamas are different. When they start to give birth, it's one of these.
What?
So you can always tell the difference, right? But he's great with it. He's
that's
just
so
really
nice.
great, you know?
There's
How
2
exciting.
maiden moms. 2 maiden moms for this year, and that ought to be interesting. The little brown girl over here next to the gray girl is Winston's mother from out front. And the light colored girl here, Sasha, is Noah's mother. So they were my 2 moms for last year.
Talk about the 2 teenagers.
We have 2 boys over here they will be 2 years old in October. Actually, the dark boy is Chicago Spirit. This is Spirit's mother. And the black girl that was here earlier, other black girl, is his full sister. And the fawn boy is October Moon. I love the name that wrote October Moon. He was born in October. I'm a blue moon in October.
Okay.
Chicago Spirit. His father's name is Chicago, and when he was born, he hit the ground running. So we call him Chicago Spirit.
Yeah, the name's
Actually,
kinda
Noah, up front, when he was born, it was raining like crazy and the barn was flooding. So we named him Noah.
Now, let me tell you about Winston.
Okay.
I still don't understand how Winston got his name. It was just someday he said to me, I think it should be Winston. And it's Winston.
I don't like naming them right away.
Well, no, you've got to see what works. What you get a feel. You get a feel.
Right.
That's how I've always been with my
Right.
animals. Yeah.
Generally, it has to do with either time of year or when, you know. Isn't the general rule in terms of birthing that it's either early in the morning or...
Typically it's early in the morning, or typically it's early in the morning. So, my girls haven't read the whole chapter
Okay.
yet.
Okay, well, we'll have to
So-
do something about that.
Because I've had babies born at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I've had babies born at 10 o'clock at night.
And the birthing is interesting because the nose and the 2 front feet come out first, okay?
Nose and toes.
Nose and toes. And there have been what's it called when they're twisted?
Breech?
We've had a uterine torsion too. That's really unusual. There can be complications with those long necks and long legs and all that sort of stuff. They can kind of twist it in there. Moms roll a lot to position babies.
Generally, it's a
Generally,
Uneventful?
typical, uneventful.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what we like to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
they I get a little standing there watching. You kind of want to get in there
And help.
but that's more detrimental than helpful.
Well, they probably get anxious.
Most often.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes I think the babies hang there a little bit too long, but there's a reason for them hanging, is so that that clears their lungs and gets the fluid out of their system. There's one guy got stuck. I thought was too long. Was probably my third baby. I thought he was there too long, and I called the vet, and I was kind of panicking. And she said, "Just give him a little tug, and see what happens." I gave him a little tug, and he fell out. I named him Tug.
Works for me.
Hey, why not, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you. I'm looking at all these different enclosures. It's like farmers where you use a field and then you go on to the
Rotate.
next field and let it grow back in. Okay.
Yeah.
So you
Right.
you rotate all the time.
When we
There-
built the barn, we made a little mount. We call it a mountain. We made them a little. They like to play king on the mountain.
As the case might be.
I can't get on there, or I get knocked off. When babies are out there with moms, doesn't matter that they're babies.
If they get on there, they knock them off.
They'll knock them off. They learn.
Interesting.
They love to
Everybody
play.
else, I mean, the aunties are awesome. When the baby's born, everybody comes in and meets the baby, and then they go off and do their own thing. But later on, some of the aunties will take over and chase and make them move and run and keep them moving, and just
But
kind of
they
like giving
know.
mom a break.
It's all natural.
So it's a family affair. It's one big
Yeah.
family
It's a
working
big, huge
together.
herd,
It's a
and
big
they're
community.
They are herd animals. They do not survive well singly. Typically, a new herd would be 3 to 5 animals. It's not because we want to sell more animals. It's because it keeps them happy. When you take an animal to the vet or off the farm, you usually have to take at least 2, so they always have a buddy with them.
Yeah, and they get in the trailer, or sometimes, as you said, if it's a single or 2 of the animals in the car, back of the car, in the trailer, they immediately cush. They go down, and they I guess they have some sense that all is well, or maybe they they feel the rumble of the tires and that. You mentioned the pastures. One of the nice things about alpacas, unlike a cow or a horse that has upper and lower teeth, the alpacas have just a lower set of teeth and a very hard
In the
upper
front.
in the front, so they don't pull up
And a hard
the
palate.
roots of the grass, so it regenerates itself. So changing pastures is exactly what you want to do. It allows the grass to regrow.
Well, that's because I'm not seeing bare. And I'm looking around here, so I figured
Yeah.
that's what you have to do. But even without, when you rotate with a lot of animals, they go right down to the bare earth, and then you've got to kind of start all over again. And I'm noticing this,
Yeah.
and I see now. I understand why. I'm learning. It's been such a learning experience because I knew nothing. I knew they were cute animals and they had soft fur and they made great sweaters and socks and all of that. But it's interesting.
They make a dust pile,
Oh, yeah.
a dust
I
bowl.
saw one of them earlier.
They love to roll in the dust.
Now, does that keep bugs off them, or
It
does
helps
it
keep
itch,
bugs
or-
off from them. They itch. They just
It's just a
It just
is
feels
for
good.
the bugs.
It
It
feels
feels
good.
good.
It feels good.
When it gets really hot in the summertime, we give them showers, and that's a lot of fun.
with a hose.
They like it.
Oh,
They you try to
We should
do the
some
bellies.
showers.
It's too cold.
Huh?
Too
It's cold. It's cold.
just spray their legs and their belly. It's because that's where the heat exchange is. That's where the least amount of fleece is. They just love it. You bring out the hose and they come running. It could be snowing out here and you bring out the hose and they'll come running. But
We have the best section in the back of this tree line. You can see there's another whole pasture out
here,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. So the property goes back about 250 feet beyond that clearings into the woods and that. So there's plenty of. What do they recommend in terms of numbers of animals on an acre? 3 to 5.
something like that. It's
3 to
actually
5 animals
probably
can-
more, but
Okay, so
You know, in terms of feeding and all
right,
that.
right.
they could be on what they call a dry lot, which is basically like this is. There isn't a lot of grass here, or it could be stone, gravel. As long as they don't need, they have to have the feed. I mean the hay. As long as you have a good hay, then they could survive basically on that and a little bit of feed. But we like the pastures. They
Talk
makes
about-
them happy.
Well, I think they'd like it better too.
Yeah.
Talk about luck. We talked about Lisa and Ed Hetko. Our hay supplier, Kevin, and his family live over on County Route 14, which is the road over here. And there was a find, so he's right there. And he supplies us with all of the hay that we need and straw and that. They eat second cut.
I was going to ask what it was, the first or second cutting.
Second cutting.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And
What does that have, more nutrients or? Okay,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
And if they can get third, then we would do that too.
we would do
Okay.
that too. But
But you've never had problems? Because I know one time I was hearing about people having problems getting a hold of some hay, good hay.
there still is problem,
It's-
right, Bill?
It's always a problem.
Is it?
Yeah. People
So
are
you
paying-
have backup suppliers just in case.
No.
We're lucky.
Well, you've never had a problem, so
We had a couple of years that it was difficult, okay, and you want to make sure it's a good quality hay, obviously. But I don't know how did Kevin come about?
Well,
Probably
for the first
recommendation or-
6 years, I was always chasing hay at the wrong time of year because we got our alpacas on Mother's Day, which getting hay in the spring is backwards. You're usually getting it in the fall.
right.
So I was always running out at the wrong time of year. And one year I got really, really low and I started panicking, and I've never purchased anything on Craigslist, but last ditch effort, I went on Craigslist looking for hay, and I found a listing. Somebody in Phoenix had second cut hay. And I called, and as soon as she answered the phone, I went, oh, it's gonna be okay. Just the tone of her voice, I knew it was gonna be okay. And I said, well, whereabouts are you? And she basically gave directions to my house. I said, where are you?
We're talking karma again here.
Yeah.
And she's,
A lot of it.
Kevin and Heather Hayes, they live on the corner of East Mud Lake and Rabbit Lane, which is right around the
Right.
corner. Which makes it really, really nice. Is they have a huge hay barns, and they leave, once they bale, they leave it on the wagon, and they bring the wagon over, and at times they can help me unload it and stuff
They
like
have
that.
2 teenage boys who, when they're not playing soccer, they come with dad and
It's very helpful.
very
Because
helpful. Yeah.
bales of hay aren't light.
Right.
So,
And that's how I got to meet Kevin, and they are such a really neat family. There's so many. What we learned, particularly during COVID and having visits, the number of young families that are really wanting their kids to know where their food comes from. So they've raised chickens and they've raised pigs, and now they have beef cattle. It's
great.
just a really neat thing, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to tell you about the phenomena of alpaca people. Dog folks who show dogs and that tend to be kind of persnickety. about their animals. We've been to many dog shows, and they don't like you to touch
Right,
or, you know.
right.
Alpaca people are probably some of the most open, friendly people you would ever want to find. As he mentioned before, we have a wonderful mentor that lives in Port Allegheny, Pennsylvania, Carol Howard. She has a very successful, a wonderful farm there, Cinco Seas Farm, and she's been a wonderful mentor. Lynn Edens, she owns what? Must be the largest, the largest alpaca farm in New York City. We're enjoying ourselves here.
I know.
Okay. We get to see everything. Is that Sasha?
Sasha.
Yeah, that's Sasha. Anywho, they're just great folks to be around, and
You're very fortunate to have
very
that,
fortunate.
that mentoring.
That mentoring
It is.
aspect. And,
Yes,
you know,
it
you
is.
it's something that you can call on folks.
Everybody that I really
Well, I think
know,
they
or
all
that-
kind of stick together. You know, it's a.
Birds of a feather.
That's right, and people probably love to share the information. They love the animals, and they don't want to see anybody have something happen to their animal.
But that is so unlike, as I said, I mean, this is nothing against, dog folks, dog folks, but it's, they tend to be a little more private and a little more guarded, I guess.
I got that from going to
Just
shows
as a-
too.
Yeah.
a little example. It was kind of funny, I guess. The last show that we were at, I had taken Winston over to, he had gotten a blue ribbon so he could get pictures taken. So I took him over to get the pictures taken, and when I came back, I'm standing there and I see a text on my phone. When did that come in? And then somebody had texted me that my animal got loose. And I'm there,
No?
what's that? And then I found out that Toby over here, I evidently didn't latch the gate when I took Winston out. And Toby wandered around the event, the arena, and went into a ring where a judge was judging his people.
Just to say hello.
And there was,
No, they said, oh, that's Bill.
there was two people standing there going,
And the other one.
Yeah, the other one.
I think that's Bill's. And the other one, I know that's Bill's. And so they ended up catching the animal and putting it back in the pen. I knew nothing about it. Just
But people, everybody
look
looks
out
out
for
for
it.
everybody.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's
Absolutely.
nice. That's nice. Now, where else? What do we got? Any place else here that we've missed that we haven't seen? We've seen all the farm or the barn.
Yep.
We've seen all the animals. I still want to pet one. I'll do that before.
Well, he'll corral one for you.
come here, Toby, Rosie. Come
They're
on.
shy.
Come on, Rosie. What's up? Huh? What's up with you? Huh? Are you gonna come say hi? Food.
Well, watch this. Watch this. Talk about motivation,
Hey,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
When visitors come, and we have the little ones, Rosie is just, and it's interesting too. We had a group from Baldwinsville, 5 young women who they just have this informal club where they just do things together. And they came out and they went out, they wanted to sit and have lunch. They brought their bag of lunch and they came out and sat. And within 5 minutes, the entire herd came up and every one of those animals cushed around them.
Oh,
Cushed around them. We have yoga with the alpacas.
I saw that.
Twice a month, yeah. And it's interesting because he lets the animals in with the group, and very often they will come. And look, that's Rosie.
Are you anxious, Rosie? Look at her.
Oh yeah. I know what you have.
There we go.
Oh, now stop. Stop. Who's that? Pearl?
That's Pearl. Pearl's a screamer.
Pearl is one of the originals, and Maddie is one of the originals. Come on. Now stop.
She's so excited. She's showing
Come
off
here,
a little
Pearl.
bit.
Come on. Now just sit right.
Come
Cindy.
here.
Yeah.
Now come here.
Here, I'll give you some.
Now stop.
I'll give you some.
Now stop.
There you go.
You just be a good girl.
Oh, there's Maddie.
Maddie.
You want some, Maddie?
Okay. Wait a minute. Now
Good
don't.
girl.
There
Good
you go.
girl. Yeah. Oh, come on, Rosie. Rosie Posey.
Come on, Rose.
Good girl.
Rosie, 99% of the time, Rosie has hay.
I
hanging out
see
from-
that.
Yes.
I see that. I've noticed that. I wanted to take it off.
You can.
I won't bother you with it. Are you gonna? Can you kiss me? Can I have a kiss? No.
Oh, no.
She goes, not without food.
Not with Pearl around.
Okay. All right, we're gonna. Okay. All right, we got it.
You
She's
asked.
yelling at her.
You wanted to pet?
I do. Oh, what are you doing? Okay, here you go. There you go.
You're gonna get spit
All
on.
right. All right, guys. Let's not be pigs about it. There's enough for everybody. No? Yes. Go for it, Rose. Go for it. All right, you're on my foot now. All right, that's it. That's it. Okay. Good. There you go. Yep. What is that noise they make?
That?
The little snorty noise.
That's ready to spit. They're preparing the stomach.
Am I going to get spit at?
No, no. You got the goodies. They won't spit at you. They'll
Oh,
spit at
to
one
spit
another.
you. Oh,
They'll spit at one
to get
another.
away, get them away from
Yeah.
it.
Come here.
All right.
Come here, Pearl.
Should I give some to others?
You can, sure.
All right. Well, let's see how Rosie's going to feel. Rosie?
They won't allow it.
Oh, they won't allow the others to have any.
Try.
Look at you. These are your friends. She goes, I don't care. There's food around. I'm in. It's each man for himself. Oh,
Oh, you're lucky.
yeah. Okay. Okay. We've got some here. Would you like a little? Would you like some? Everybody be nice. Be nice. We've got some for everybody. There you go. No? You don't want some? There you go. It's amazing all their faces. They all look different. They look alike, but they look different.
Uh-huh.
No, you're not going to let me up there? No, it's not. Nope. Okay. You guys are all right.
All gone.
It's almost gone. It's almost
All
gone.
gone.
It's almost Well, show for it. Is that okay for her to do?
How you beautiful. Cha-cha. Yeah.
It's
All right,
funny
that's
because,
enough.
all right, we had
Take
enough.
that from you. All done.
You like your treats, don't you? Yeah,
All done. You can tell.
yeah.
Pearl had one baby. Pearl had one baby. That was one of the ones I didn't see born. It was born early in the morning. We called her Summer Dawn.
Good
She
name.
never got her girlish figure back. So
Oh well.
that's the way it goes.
Okay, all gone.
Yeah, it was Summer Dawn, Autumn Rose.
No more.
We had a Geraldine. Geraldine we named her Gerald. It was our very first baby. Paul's sister, older sister Jerry, Geraldine, has 4 kids and 900 grandchildren and a lot of great grandkids. Half of them are girls, and nobody would name their girl Geraldine. So Jerry had a Geraldine, a grandpaca, she called it.
A grandpaca. Oh, we've got somebody that's
Let's go back out
Hey,
underneath
Madness.
the maple
okay.
tree, okay?
All right, we'll go there. Now we're back inside. Where are we at what is
Maddie's
this building?
Mercantile.
Maddie's Mercantile. We're back at the 7 Acres Alpaca Farm. We're hitting the rounds here, and now we're getting to the meat of everything as to what they use their fleece for and some samples of the fleece. So, Bill, I'll let you take this one.
Right. Well, this is probably the end. This is what is made from alpaca fiber, the socks, the dryer balls, the insoles. We don't have hats and scarves and sweaters, that sort of thing. But as the fleece is taken off of the animal, this is what it looks like after, just as it's taken off the animal.
What's it called? The blanket?
This is the blanket. This is from belly to belly.
Does it come
The better
off?
the fleece.
Is that when they're shorn? Like you said, they had to be laying down for the maximum efficiency
Right.
for taking
Right.
removing the fleece.
And it all stays together.
Is it like
As it
little
comes
pieces
off.
or
No.
just one lump?
It's just
Comes
one
just like
big
that.
piece.
The whole.
It
This
comes
is.
off like this.
Oh my heavens! That's a beautiful.
What's nice about the alpaca fleece is that it doesn't have the lanolin in it like wool. As a sheep is shorn, it comes off like this. It's all stuck together, but it's all stuck together with the lanolin, which is kind of like. Well, the only time I've ever dealt with it was in a class, and it was kind of like
Glue?
hair
I
and
was gonna say glue. Yeah.
hair and Crisco.
Ooh. But this comes off. This is how.
This is how it comes
Right.
out.
Oh.
And what they would do to process this, what they would do is they would pull the. I got some really shiny stuff here. They would pull it apart, and they would put it. They wash it, and then they dry it, and then they run it through. What they call a carder. This machine here, which basically
Large one.
a very large one, which basically puts all of the fibers in line, and the little ridges in here that's called crimp. That's basically what holds the yarn together. Then they pull it off here, and it comes out like in a big cloud, and it's pulled. You take the cloud in your hand and you pull. It's spun by just feeding that as a smaller and smaller piece that goes on, and it twists it into yarn.
Yeah,
But this is like the raw material first.
Right.
This is the start. This is where it starts once the animal is shorn.
Right.
And then you take it. How do you wash it? What do they wash it with?
They wash it with a really mild soap, and it's not agitated, because if it gets agitated, then it felts, and that you don't want to do that for pressing it into like yarn. If you want to felt it, then that's what you would do is it's soap and water, and you kind of rub it together, and that makes like a felt sheet.
Now, when Chris shears them, he starts with the blanket, right? Which is the midsection.
Right.
And then he does the neck portion.
The neck and the legs are what they call seconds, and then thirds is basically the junk.
How long does it take for the hair to grow back so that it's this long
A year.
again? Okay, so they get shorn once a year?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
So now you did it now so they'd be cooler for the summer, or is that okay?
Right.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
And then in the winter, with this much fleece on them, in the winter they have the warmest coat.
Right.
They have a warmer coat than I do.
This is beautiful. I mean, I can't imagine having a coat or a blanket or something.
Well, it's
Very
fun to
soft.
see what they do with it too, in terms of dyeing it. And there was a lady from the Baldwinsville Golden Spinners Group who purchased a black, and she put it together with, I think, wool, right?
It was a merino,
Merino, and it was like, it glistened. It was like
a beautiful yarn.
silver throughout. So they can do all kinds of things with it, in terms of dyeing it and combining it with other materials.
And behind you here is my
This is your
This is my-
your pack here?
clip from the whole herd. These are all blankets.
These were the ones they were just recently shorn. This is the result.
Right. And this one back here is Winston. I need to skirt him too. I'll be showing his.
We send some of them off to be judged, competitions and that. And then, of course, the animals are judged at various shows around the country.
This material is so soft.
Yes, it is.
It's amazing.
It's a real luxury.
It really is soft. Wow. I never, it's interesting to see how it goes. Now, what is this? Now, who's this from here?
This is basically that's the stuff that I've taken off of the blanket. That's basically seconds, what they would call seconds. That would be shipped out. That could be sent to the mill, and they would use that for different things. Every bit of the fleece from an animal can be used for something, whether it be used for dryer balls or the inserts, or even this wad of fleece here. You could stick it in make bird nesting balls out of it.
I was going to say, I have a nesting ball. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't have with the alpaca, but I didn't know I could get it.
Well, now you know.
No, I know. And they said that you can get them with you can get the nesting balls with the alpaca fur for the fleece. Is that
Fleece.
Fleece,
Right.
not fur.
Right.
Okay, fleece. But that's the big thing now, are these nesting balls. And I can see why that the birds would certainly use this,
Right.
because it'd be perfect.
Have them all over the place around here, outside.
I know, I've got several.
I have a wonderful artist friend, a retired art teacher, JoBeth Serling Lair, and she takes these what are suet containers.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
And
Good idea.
yeah, decorates them. So, and what's nice about it is what you said, with the fleece, a bag of seconds or whatever. You've got
Everything gets a use.
replenish it, yeah. you
Yeah,
can
everything gets a
replenish it,
use.
yeah.
Because typically, what would you do with the seconds? You could do something like that, but if you get too much, do you just dispose of it, or?
No,
Or does it have to right to the end?
For us, at a certain point, if it's here a certain length of time and I'm not going to do anything with it, then I will dispose of it. But the seconds, you could use the seconds also for making yarn. My ultimate goal would be, the perfect scenario would be, I raise the alpacas, I raise the fleece, I have it shorn, and I have local spinners come and buy the fleece, turn it into something, spin it into yarn and make a product, and then have it all locally sourced, locally grown, locally processed.
Oh,
I think that'd be
perfect.
awesome.
Yes, it would.
We tried to find a local processor, and there were some. We talked to them. The downside then was that in order to have your fleece produced into a product, it took a year turnaround from the time they took it in and was able to process
That's just
it.
to turn it into yarn.
To turn it into yarn.
Or a bat would be like the big cloud, like I said, taking it off the carder. Is it, or roving is basically taking strips of the bat and like running it through a tube so that it makes it easier to spin from.
So to do your own fleece, so when we send ours to this, I call it a co-op, they collect it from farms around the Northeast, so you're not necessarily getting back your fleece,
Oh,
but it's a
okay.
combination of the fleece. But that's his goal, is to have it all, from start to finish, locally.
It's a lofty goal, but it's an admirable one, certainly.
Well, I mean, locals, like just your average locals, individual spinner person wouldn't probably buy a whole fleece. They would they buy it either half processed into the bath, so they're roving. But there are folks that like to start, meet
Right
the
here,
animal,
yeah.
start from right off the animal and work it themselves. There are people that will do that. But since you do, typically it is spun with other fibers, one fleece will go an awfully long way. So there'd be
What could you make out of this,
there'd be
say?
a whole lot of spinners that I would have to find to purchase all of my fleece, which isn't going to happen. But the more that I do reach out, the more that I have sold. I've sold 5 fleeces this year, which is more than I've ever sold before.
Wow.
So that's cool.
That's right. It gets bigger and better. Now, say for example, this piece here, what could you realistically expect to make from this?
You could make a sweater.
Okay. Several pairs of
lots of
socks or something, yeah. Lots of socks.
Lots of socks.
Nice in the winter for the winter.
Probably a nice sized blanket.
Shawl, right?
Shawls.
Scarves. Yeah.
I have to tell
Scarves,
you
hats.
viewers, this is, you can't even believe how soft this is. It's just, I want to lay down and take a nap. It's beautiful. It's so soft and just, oh, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. But anyways, I think we've kind of, have we gone full circle here, guys?
You've done a
or-
great job. You've asked a lot of good
Well, I mean, if
questions.
there's something I haven't asked you, or you think the public should know,
Yes, we should know about the yoga. They should
Oh, I
know
mentioned
about-
okay,
Yeah, we
okay,
have yoga.
they do have
Yeah.
yoga. You can go on your site. You can get information, info at PAC-BTV.org. If you have any questions for these gentlemen, you can send your questions to that address, and we'll forward it on to them. And then you can watch the video on the video on YouTube and on Facebook. But what a learning experience this has been. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to that site.
Well, thank you for being here.
Well,
You've been
thank you.
super.
I've learned I never knew there was so much to learn about alpacas. Like I said, I thought they were cute animals and really warm socks.
You come
But-
for a visit, and I mean, my mouth runs. I start talking, and I love to talk about my alpacas.
Well,
and- but what's really neat is that you've asked a lot of good questions. That makes the visit much more enjoyable. And then I can show off, I guess.
Well, you did.
But
You
I
both
do or
did.
don't know.
Bill
Do or
and
don't
the other
know.
one, they did a great job, and they do have the yoga. Like I say, they have the yoga and everything else. It's just these animals are great. It's been a great experience here, and if you do have any questions, again, info at PAC-BTV.org. Feel free. We'll forward everything on. And thank you, gentlemen, for participating in this.
Thank you.
It's been a very enjoyable morning.
Great.
And everybody,
Thanks, Brian.
Good job.
Yes.
thank you very much. And Beeville, we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Cool beans.